Hi, I'm Zach, and this is Challenge of Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. Alright, today we're going to be talking about Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini. And if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Really helps out me in the channel. To be notified whenever I release a new video, be sure to hit the bell icon and select all. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, the links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. And if you'd like to donate to help support the channel, the links to those will be in the description box as well. Alright, so, sorry, I know I've been gone for a while, everybody. Yeah, I was sick as a dog. But I've finally recovered. I'm feeling a lot better. Sorry, Bosco is eyeing the table like he wants to get up on it. Are you coming up, Bosco? Come on, buddy. You can join the video. Come on. Bosco. Will he come? Let's see. There he is. Well, he almost never joins the video. So, you know this is special. Okay. So, yeah, anyways, I'm feeling a lot better. Now, this month there's going to be, the schedule's been wonky, so what I'm going to be doing, just a quick update before we get into the main video, is I'm not going to be doing the sun transit video. It's just kind of going to fall by the wayside this month. I'll get back to those next month, though. We are going to be doing well, first off, we're going to do this video, the Mars transit video, and then we're going to do the Jupiter transit video. After that, I'm going to finish up the year predictions for 2025, and then I'll do the February tarot videos. After that, it should be, regular schedule pretty much, and we're going to start the planets through zodiac signs series. Okay. But Mars is transiting retrograde, so let's talk about that. So Mars has been retrograde in Cancer for a while, but now it is moving back into the sign of Gemini. And that will be going on from January 21st to February 23rd. But there are some important dates in there during that transit, because Mars is the activation point of what I call triple impact. That's when the three slower moving physical planets all impact one zodiac sign. Bosco, chill out. Okay. So, those are Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. Now, Jupiter and Saturn, Jupiter is life. It gives life to the situation, allows it to happen. Saturn is karma. And then Mars is energy. So Mars is that trigger that activates it. Now, this is going to be happening, this triple impact of these three planets is going to be hitting Leo from January 21st to February 4th. So it's going to be about a 2-week span of this transit. And then the triple impact is going to be on Scorpio. And that's going to be from February 4th to February 23rd. So another 2 to 3 week span. Okay, and these are the most important signs to look at during this retrograde. But with Mars retrograde in Gemini, for those that have watched my previous retrograde videos, you know that means the planet is bringing its energy from the sign it's transiting in to the previous sign. So, Mars isn't acting like it's in Gemini. It's acting like it's in the previous house and sign of Taurus. It's going to bring the energy from Gemini. Gemini is still relevant, otherwise Mars would just be direct in Taurus. Now, of course, this is all from our perspective, because really Mars isn't moving backwards. It just appears to be moving backwards from Earth, because Earth is moving faster than Mars. Mars just slowed down. Okay, but what we care about is our perspective, because as far as I'm aware, there aren't humanoids still on, Mars that need astrologers. So when there are, I'll help them out. Okay. But we're going to be jumping into this. Make sure you are looking at your transits from your ascendant. It's your overall path in life. Sign rising in the east at the time you were born. It's the map of your life. From your moon, because moon is your mind and emotions. It's how you think and feel about your reality. And then sun, because sun is your soul. It's what your soul's experiencing in this world. And sun, to some extent, is also your body. Now, these are your Vedic Sidereal placements, not your Western tropical. If you don't know your Vedic Sidereal placements, you can look up a Vedic Sidereal birth chart calculator online, or get a much more detailed birth chart from my website. Okay, but let's kick it off with Aries, like always. Aries, for you, Mars is transiting retrograde in Gemini, your third house. Now, Mars is bringing its energy from the sign of Gemini into the sign of Taurus, your second house. So, Taurus, the second house, it's your family. It's your earnings, your savings, your bank account. It's your speech. It's your face. It's what you value. It's your possessions. So Mars, bringing that energy from the third house. Well, Mars is conflict. You will see past conflicts come alive with Mars retrograde. Now, this could be tied to your younger siblings, your cousins, a neighbor even. Being brought to the second house of family. Maybe that causes issues with your family. Maybe it's a younger sibling, a cousin, or a neighbor that's having conflict with your family. So you can see that taking place. But also, there could be something tied to finances regarding the third house. Communication in particular becomes very significant. Third and second houses are the houses of communication. They're the main houses of communication. Also, there could be something tied to traveling to see family. As Bosco goes away. See you later, Bosco. Gosh, he gets so much hair on me. Damn. Todd, it's only a little bit. Bosco, it's just... he sheds everywhere. Okay. Alright. But, we do see, third house is also marketing and sales. It's media, it's the internet, it's travel. It's also tied to education because it's learning new skills. So all of these things, if you're involved in any of these areas, arts, sports, these things, if you're involved in any of these areas, as a career, you could be making money from these things. There could be some past financial involvement with that. Now, Mars is also cuts, burns, accidents. So there is potential to have a cut or a burn, in particular, on your face. So be careful with that. Like guys, when you're shaving, just be aware. That could be an issue. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars is a 4th, a 7th, and an 8th aspect. So the 4th aspect of conquest is going to fall on the sign of Leo. Now, Leo is going to receive triple impact at one point in this transit. So, Leo is incredibly important. Now, Leo is your 5th house. Now, first off, why is it aspecting Leo and not Virgo? Remember, Mars is acting like it's in Taurus. So it's aspecting from Taurus, not Gemini. Okay. But Leo is your 5th house. 5th house is children, students, subordinates. It's fun and games, romance, education. It's arts, it's sports, it's creativity. It's politics. It's change of job, because it's 8th from the 10th house. sudden change and transformation of your career. Fifth house is speculative gains through stock market, through gambling, through business. So Mars shows you want to conquer these areas. But there's going to be triple impact happening here because Mars is going to aspect. And then Jupiter. Yeah, there we go. Jupiter is retrograde until like February 4th. So Jupiter will aspect from Aries. And Saturn will also aspect from Aquarius. So that triple impact will be happening. So this could be very big. You could be having something very significant happen in your education. You could have children during this time, or find out that you're pregnant or your partner's pregnant. There could be some big, gain through speculation. But the fifth house is going to come alive in a very big way during that time. Now, seventh aspect of Mars is going to be on Scorpio. And there will also be a big, that triple impact happening here when Jupiter goes direct. Because then Jupiter will aspect from Taurus. Okay, but Scorpio is the eighth house. And that seventh aspect of Mars is about confrontation. It's about conflict. Now, the eighth house is your in-laws. It's joint finances and relationships and in business. It's sex. It's the occult. It's research. It's death, wills, inheritance, estates, legacies, taxes, other people's money. It's on ups and downs and transformation. So, with this, if you're married, you can definitely see a lot of conflict with your in-laws. So be careful of that. You can have conflict with hidden occult people, if you know anyone like that. Conflict with people regarding research could take place. Hopefully not conflict with someone over your taxes or something, but maybe. But we definitely see there will be big changes taking place with that triple impact happening in the eighth house. There can be a sudden change that takes place in your life. Also, eighth house is tied to surgeries. So for those of you that need a surgery, you know that this is likely the time when that could be scheduled. Most likely that would already be scheduled, but yeah. Okay. Now, the eighth aspect of Mars is about sun ups and downs and transformation. That's going to fall on your ninth house, Sagittarius. So, Sagittarius is, the ninth house. Oh, both of them. It's your father figures. It's your mentors, teachers, gurus. It's religion, philosophy, the law. It's long distance travel, pilgrimage. It's higher education, especially beyond like a bachelor's degree. Outside of typical schooling. Ninth house is publishing. It's your luck and your fortune. So here we see there will be major changes here. Maybe there's something significant going on with your father. Now, these changes, real quick before I get into the rest, will not be as significant as the triple impact. Triple impact is going to be much larger, much more significant than this. But there will be, changes with a father figure, changes in education. There could be sudden travels that take place. There could be a change in your religious and philosophical views. Okay. But yeah, that's what I have for you, Aries. Moving on to Taurus. Alright, Taurus. So, Mars is retrograding into Gemini, but it's going to exert its energy in the sign of Taurus. So, Mars is conflict. So, past conflict is being brought to you. Because Taurus is your first sign. It's your first house of the body, of the self. Now, this is coming from the second house, of family, of finances. So, one thing you will definitely see with this, expect a lot of conflict with your family. That will absolutely take place. Also, you will see family will have losses financially on account of you, or family money will be coming to you. That's another thing that you will see during this retrograde of Mars in Gemini. But this will cause conflict. Now, Mars is also cuts, burns, accidents. In the first house. First house is you. It's your physical body. But first house in particular is the head. So you could have a cut or a burn, either on your head, but really the body in general. But head will be the most likely area. Okay. But yeah, we also see you will have a lot of energy. A lot of drive with Mars in the first house. Behaving like it's in the first house. Mars will make you feel superhuman in the first house. Because now all of that energy is fueling you. Now, that can be a good and a bad thing. Good thing because, well, you'll have energy. Bad thing because you will have accidents that will take place. Basically, you can be a bit reckless. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars, though. Mars is going to have a fourth aspect of conquest falling onto Leo, and there will be a triple impact taking place here. Jupiter, because it's retrograde, will aspect from Aries, and Saturn is aspecting from Aquarius, along with Mars aspecting from Taurus. So, fourth house is your mother figures. It's home, land, real estate, it's vehicles, it's your comfort and your happiness. So you want to conquer these areas of life. And that can cause conflict, especially with your mother and with the people within your home. But this can definitely be good for acquiring property, for getting a car. Maybe you need to repair property or, repair a car, get a new car. But these are the kinds of things that you can see. There will be major changes in this area that take place. Now, it could be a big change in your mother's life, just in general. Or, mother's health. Hopefully for the better. But that's going to depend on each individual's chart. Okay. But you will definitely see those big changes take place with the triple impact. Now, Scorpio is also receiving a seventh aspect of Mars from Taurus. Seventh aspect is the relationship aspect, but with Mars, it's conflict. Now, there will be a triple impact happening here right after the triple impact on Leo. So this is going to bleed over and affect Scorpio next. Now, Scorpio is your seventh house. Seventh house is relationships, business partner. It's the masses, all the people you meet. So you're going to have to deal with conflict with these people. There will be conflict in relationships. There will be conflict in business with your business partner. Conflict with a lot of people. Mars is giving you a superhuman energy so you can deal with this. But there will be big changes when it comes to the seventh house, because of that triple impact. So there can be a big change in a relationship that takes place. Maybe you weren't in a relationship, but you get into one. Maybe your relationship goes from, not living together to moving in. Maybe you get engaged. Maybe you get married. Maybe you separate with a business partner. Get a new business partner. But we do see those big changes will take place tied to the seventh house. Now, the eighth aspect of Mars is going to fall in Sagittarius. Eighth aspect is about sun ups and downs and transformation. But these big changes aren't going to be as big as the ones affecting Leo and Scorpio, because there's not going to be that triple impact happening here. Now, 8th house is your in-laws, it's joint finances and relationships and business. It's other people's money. It's taxes. It's sex. It's death. It's wills, inheritance, estates, legacies. It's the occult. It's research. It's surgeries. It's psychological baggage. It's ups and downs and transformation itself. So, there will be changes that take place here. Maybe because there's a change in your relationship, there's a change that takes place with your in-laws. Like, for instance, getting married, and now your in-laws are like your second family. As an example, there could be a change in your sex life, like if you get into a relationship. There can be a change of your occult views in your research. Change in your psychology could take place. Maybe you're getting a surgery. Or scheduling a surgery. You can see that as well. But alright, that's what I have for you, Taurus. Moving on to Gemini. Gemini. So Mars is retrograde in your first house. But Mars is going to take the energy of the first house and implement it in the 12th house. So most of Mars's energy is actually going to be here in Taurus. Now, 12th house. 12th house is bed pleasure, sex and sleep. It's spirituality. It's anywhere you feel isolated. Jails, hospitals, asylums, monasteries. It's multinational companies. It's foreign travel, foreign people. It's losses of all kinds, including financial. It's investing, because when you invest money, you're temporarily losing money. It's also donations. So we see the energy of the first house, of the self and the body, is being implemented in that 12th house. Now, this can mean a number of things. This could mean you travel to a far-off place. This could mean you're dealing with financial losses. This could mean you have to go to a hospital, or you find yourself locked in jail. This could mean you become more spiritual, or have more of a sex life. These are some examples of what we can see with this. Also, you can find that you're dealing with conflict with foreign people. Because Mars is conflict. And now that conflict is being brought to the 12th house of foreign and spiritual people. So, you can see that as well. Now, Mars is also cuts, burns, and accidents. And 12th house is tied to the feet. So, you can get cuts or burns or like broken bones when it comes to your feet. So, be careful. Any transit of Mars, you can see there's a chance for new accidents to take place. Okay. But, that's life. Now, a big thing you will see with this, though, and this is what you really need to be careful of, with Mars in Taurus in particular here, is Mars is going to energize losses. So, in particular, financially, you need to be careful with Mars in Taurus. Because Mars is also with Jupiter, and Jupiter is expanding those losses, especially when Jupiter goes direct. Okay, so just a little heads up for you Geminis out there. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars is a 4th aspect, which is going to be from Taurus onto the sign of Leo. So, Leo is going to receive that triple impact of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Because Mars is acting like it's in Taurus, aspecting. Jupiter is acting like it's in Aries, aspecting. And Saturn is aspecting from Aquarius. So, Leo's your 3rd house. 3rd house is younger siblings. It's your cousins, your neighbors. It's social media, the internet, It's marketing and sales. It's your skills. It's sports. It's art. Third house is 8th from the 8th. So it's the higher form of sun ups and downs and transformation. Transformation through self-effort, because the third house is the house of effort. It's communication of all kinds, including writing. Third house is short distance travel, but it can even be long distance and foreign travel, because it's 12th from the 4th. Furthest place from your homeland. So, third house is a lot. But we see there will be major changes here because of that triple impact. So, if you have a younger sibling, know that they can go through a big change here. If you're involved in media, social media, the internet, art, sports, there can be very big changes here. Like I said, with Mars retrograde in the 12th, aspecting the third house, you could go to a foreign country. There could be very long distance travel that you take with that. Okay. Also, you're going to be putting forth a lot of effort. You're going to be busting your ass. And Mars is giving you the energy to do that. Mars is saying, conquer this. You now have to rule this domain. Put in the work. Especially if you want things to happen. Okay. Now, 7th aspect of Mars is going to be on Scorpio. Scorpio is your 6th house. There will also be a triple impact happening here, right after the triple impact on Leo. So, 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your pets. It's your coworkers. It's your enemies. 6th house is health issues and accidents. It's competition, so it's even sports. It's conflict, legal disputes, debt. It's your enemies, if I forgot to mention that. It's also obstacles. So, with that 7th aspect here, first off, 7th aspect of Mars is the relationship aspect. With Mars, though, it's conflict. So, you can get into conflict with your maternal aunts and uncles. You can get into conflict with your coworkers. Conflict with your pets. Leave them alone. They don't deserve it. And you can get into conflict with your enemies. Now, that could be a good thing. Especially if you have a chance of winning that conflict with your enemies. But we see you can get into conflict with these people. But either way, there will be a big change tied to the 6th house because of that triple impact. So, there can be a big change with your health, big change with debt, either getting into debt or getting out of debt. There can be, big changes with your maternal aunts and uncles. Big change in your work, because 6th house is your everyday work, everyday routines. There could be some legal dispute you find yourself involved in. Okay. Now, let's talk about the 8th aspect of Mars. That's the aspect of sun ups and downs and transformation. That's going to fall on Sagittarius, your 7th house. So 7th house is relationships, marriage, business partner. It's the masses, all the people you deal with out in the world. So, there can be sudden changes tied to relationships, tied to business, tied to your interactions with lots of people. 7th house is also a house of fame because of this. It's 10th from the 10th, higher form of your status, your reputation, your fame. So there can be a sudden change with this, but this change won't be as big as what's going to happen with Leo and Scorpio because they're receiving the triple impact. Okay. All right, that's what I have for you, Gemini. Moving on to Cancer. Cancer. So, Mars is transiting retrograde in Gemini now. But when it's retrograde, it behaves like it's in the previous house. But it's going to bring that energy of Gemini into Taurus. So, Taurus is your 11th house. 11th house is your elder siblings. It's your friends, your network circles, your paternal aunts and uncles. It's large organizations, large gatherings, parties. It's gains, it's stock market. It's your hopes, wishes, and desires. Now, Mars is bringing its energy from the 12th house. So with this, you can see past conflict comes alive because Mars is conflict and it's retrograde. It appears to be moving backwards, bringing conflict back from the past. So, you can get into conflict with your friends. Maybe, this conflict is repeating. You can get into conflict with your elder siblings, with your paternal aunts and uncles, with a large organization. There can be, 12th house is also tied to investments. Maybe there's something going on with your investments that's allowing you to gain. Because that 12th house energy of investing is being brought to the 11th house of gains. 12th house is also multinational companies, so it could be something concerning stocks that you have. Because 11th house is also stock market. There could be something in particular tied to foreign friends. There can also be losses coming to your friends, coming to your elder siblings, coming to your paternal aunts and uncles. Okay. Now, Mars is also cuts, burns, and accidents. And the 11th house is tied to the region of the leg below the knee and above the ankle, the shin area. So, you can get cuts, burns, broken bones in that region during this transit. So, be careful with that. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. So, Mars has a fourth aspect of conquest, which is going to be from the sign of Taurus onto the sign of Leo. So, Leo is going to receive that triple impact before Jupiter goes direct. Jupiter is going to aspect from Aries. Mars is already aspecting. And Saturn's going to aspect from Aquarius. Now, Leo's your second house of family, finances, your possessions, what you value, your face. So, there is going to be a lot going on here. In particular, financially. This is going to be a very significant transit for Cancer people financially. But like I said, even, tied to your family, there can be big changes. Mars affecting the 11th house of elder siblings, your paternal aunts and uncles, affecting your second house of family. But it's also affecting the 11th house of gains, the second house of earnings and savings. So these are the main areas this will affect. But there could even be something tied to, your face. Like there could be, dental work that you have done, or plastic surgery. Like these are things that you can also see. Okay. Now, seventh aspect of Mars is the relationship aspect, but Mars is conflict. So, this relationship aspect is about conflict, confrontation. That's going to fall in Scorpio, your fifth house. And there will be a triple impact here once Jupiter goes direct. So, fifth house is your children, your students, subordinates. It's your educational environment. It's romance. So, these are the people you can get into conflict with. But the other areas of the fifth house we have to talk about because there can be major changes in all these areas. So, fifth house is also politics. Fifth house is eighth from the 10th house. It's the sudden change and transformation of your career. So it can be tied to change of job, promotion, quitting a job, getting a new job. These kinds of things can be seen with the fifth house. Now, with this, fifth house is also, like I said, education. So there can be major changes in your education. You could have children with this triple impact, or find out that you're pregnant, or your partner's pregnant. There could be a new romance that begins. Fifth house is also speculative gains. Through stock market, through gambling, through business. So once again, there is a big financial element to this transit of Mars retrograding, like it's in the 11th house. And that triple impact happening on Leo and Scorpio. Okay. Now, the 8th aspect of Mars is going to be on Sagittarius. That brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. Now, this won't be as significant as what's going to happen to Leo and Scorpio, because that triple impact's not going to be there. But the 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your coworkers, it's your pets, it's your enemies, it's your everyday work, everyday routines, it's competition, it's conflict, it's legal disputes, it's obstacles, it's health issues and accidents. So, there can be big changes here. Maybe there's a big change in your health. Maybe you're overcoming financial debt. Maybe there's a change in your work that takes place. Maybe that's why you're making all this extra money. There could be a change with your maternal aunts and uncles as well. But these are just examples of what we can see with this. Alright, that's what I have for you, Cancer. Moving on to Leo. Okay, so Leo. For you, Mars is retrograding in Gemini. But it's going to behave like it's in Taurus when it's retrograde. So it's going to bring that energy of the 11th house into the 10th house. And Mars is conflict. When it's retrograde, it is bringing past conflict. Now, the 10th house is your career. It's your workplace, your managers and your bosses. It's your status, your reputation, your fame. It's also the house of government, especially national government. It's your karmic actions that the world notices. This is the highest house of karma. So even if you're retired or don't have a job, 10th house is still important. So with Mars bringing that energy from the 11th house into the 10th house, you will definitely see conflict with people at work, especially with your managers and bosses. That can be quite likely. There can be conflict with your friends and your elder siblings, in particular if you work with them. Same thing with paternal aunts and uncles. Now, 11th house is also the gain of status. So with Mars retrograding from that house into the 10th house, there can be something tied to your reputation at stake with this. Now, Mars is also cuts, burns, accidents, bruises, broken bones. That's going to be in the 10th house. So you can see that there is a chance for some kind of physical injury to take place whenever Mars transits. Now in this case, 10th house is tied to the knees. So just be careful, there can be some accident in that region. Okay, but now let's talk about Mars's aspects. There we go. Okay, so 4th aspect of conquest is going to fall on Leo. Now, this is going to be very significant because there's going to be a triple impact here. Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn will all be aspecting Leo. Mars will aspect like it's from in the sign of Taurus. Jupiter will aspect like it's in Aries. and Saturn will aspect from Aquarius. So, Leo is your first house. First house is you, your overall health, your body. It's your personality. So, Mars shows you want to conquer this. Maybe you want to get in better physical health. Maybe you have, health issues that you were trying to overcome. Maybe you just want to lose weight. But with Mars aspecting here, we see you want to conquer you. You want to conquer yourself. Now, there will be major changes tied to you that will take place. There could be a major change in your health. Maybe you get in better shape, you're working out, going on runs or something. But this can also be a change in your health for the worse. So be careful with that. Now, this could also show a big change in your personality or in your overall life, because first house is your life as a whole. It's the start of your life. So, expect big changes in your life as a whole. But like I said, for you in particular, you and your physical health. Now, that seventh aspect of Mars is the relationship aspect. But Mars is conflict, so there will be confrontation with that seventh aspect. That's going to fall on Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is your fourth house. Fourth house is mother figures. It's home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's your comfort and your happiness. So with this, we see there will be conflict with your mother. There will be conflict with the people within your home. Fourth house is also people of the homeland, especially if you live in like a foreign or far off place. Okay, so here we see there will be that conflict that takes place, but there will be that triple impact of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn taking place here, right after the triple impact on Leo, because Jupiter is going to go direct. Like February 4th, I believe. And then Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn will all aspect Scorpio. So there can be big changes in your living situation. Big changes with your mother. There can be big changes with vehicles. You could get a new car. You could renovate a home. These are the kinds of things that you could see taking place. And you will see big changes. Okay, now the eighth aspect of Mars is going to fall on Sagittarius, your fifth house. Eighth aspect is sun ups and downs and transformation. But these won't be as big as Leo and Scorpio, because those receive that triple impact. Okay, but your fifth house is children, students, subordinates. It's romance, fun and games. It's education. It's politics. It's eighth from the 10th house. So it's a sudden change and transformation of your career. Fifth house is speculative gains through stock market, through gambling, through business. It's creativity, art, and sports. So we see that there will be changes that take place here. There will be a change in your education. There could be a significant change in your career. Maybe you quit a job, get a new job, get a promotion, get demoted. Hopefully not. There can be a big change in your creative pursuits. Change in romance could take place. But we also see these events happening as well. Okay, that's what I have for you, Leo. Moving on to Virgo. Virgo. So, Mars is retrograde in your 10th house in Gemini. But it's going to exert that energy of the 10th house in the 9th house of Taurus. And Mars is conflict. So here we see past conflict. is very likely. Now, ninth house is your father figures. It's your mentors, teachers, gurus. It's religion, philosophy, the law. Ninth house is long distance travel, pilgrimage. It's publishing. It's higher education beyond like a bachelor's degree. It's the education you receive outside of typical schooling. Ninth house is your luck and your fortune. So with this, we see, first off, that energy of the 10th house being brought here. So one thing you may notice is your father could be having conflict with his family before marriage. Because the 10th house is your father's family. So you could see that taking place. Here you could also see your father could be making more money. Because now, second house from the 9th. The finances of the father coming to the father. But like I said, that could cause conflict with your father's family before marriage. Now, this can also show, because 10th house is your career. With Mars bringing that energy of the career, the workplace, into the 9th house, you could have to travel for work or get some kind of education on behalf of your work. There could be some legal issue that takes place tied to work, because 9th house is the law. And 10th house is also government. So there could even be, a legal issue with the government that you have to deal with. So we see that these things can take place. But Mars is also cuts, burns, bruises, broken bones, accidents. Now that'll be affecting the 9th house. So 9th house is the thigh region. So you can have some accident in that region if you're not careful. Or if it's, your karma. Okay. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. So Mars has a 4th aspect of conquest falling on Leo, your 12th house. Now, Mars is going to aspect here because it's aspecting from the sign of Taurus, not from the sign of Gemini. Now, Leo is going to receive triple impact. It's going to be aspected by Mars. It's going to be aspected by Jupiter, because Jupiter is going to aspect from Aries. And then Saturn will aspect from Aquarius. So these 3 planets are going to aspect. Now, there will be major changes because of that. These are the 3 major physical planets. So you will see actual results physically. Now, 12th house is bed pleasure, sex and sleep. It's spirituality. It's anywhere you feel isolated. Jails, hospitals, asylums, monasteries. 12th house is foreign people, foreign places, foreign lands. It's multinational companies. It's losses of all kinds, including financial. It's investing, because when you invest money, you're temporarily losing money. It's also donations. So, you're going to see major changes in these areas. So there can be major losses that you deal with during this time. Maybe you have to go to a hospital. Maybe you go to jail because of that legal issue. Hopefully not. Here you could become more spiritual. Could have more of a sex life. Here you could travel to a far off or foreign place, because Jupiter and Mars will be affecting the 9th house of long distance travel, and they'll be affecting the 12th house of long distance and foreign travel. Okay. So we definitely can see, that taking place. You could also begin to invest more or donate more. But If you don't, know that financial losses can take place. Now, the 7th aspect of Mars is going to fall in Scorpio. And Jupiter will be going direct. So you have Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all creating that triple impact on Scorpio. Right after the triple impact on Leo. So, Scorpio is your 3rd house. And the 7th aspect of Mars is the relationship aspect. But with Mars, it brings confrontation, conflict. So there will be conflict with the people tied to the 3rd house. But we will also see those major changes take place. So 3rd house is your younger siblings, your cousins, your neighbors. It's people you deal with online. It's social media, the internet. It's regular media like movies, shows, music. It's communication of all kinds, including writing. It's sports, it's art. It's marketing and sales. It's your skills. 3rd house is the house of effort. 3rd house is 8th from the 8th. So it's the higher form of sun ups and downs and transformation. Transformation through self-effort. It's also a house of travel, especially short distance travel, but it's also 12th from the 4th, furthest place from your homeland. So we see there will be major changes here. Now, you have the 9th house being affected, the 12th house being affected, the 3rd house being affected. All of these show travel. So travel becomes very significant for Virgo people during this time. And there will definitely be conflict with those younger siblings, those cousins, those neighbors, people online. Here, with Mars affecting the 9th house of publishing, 3rd house of writing, definitely there can be something tied to writing and publishing, especially if you know that you're in that field or you have plans for that. Here there can be a lot going on with your father and with your younger siblings. Because we see those houses being impacted. But there will be major changes with Scorpio, just like with Leo. So there could be a lot going on in your younger sibling's life. There can be a lot going on with you learning new skills. Like I said, there can be significant travel, especially foreign travel. But you're going to have to put forth a lot of effort during this time. Because the 3rd house is the house of effort. Okay. All right, now, the 8th aspect of Mars is going to fall in Sagittarius, your 4th house. 8th aspect is about sun ups and downs and transformation. But these changes aren't going to be as big as Leo and Scorpio. So, 4th house is your mother figures. It's home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's your comfort and your happiness. So there will be changes that take place here as well. Maybe all of this that's affecting your father or your younger siblings also impacts your mother to some extent. Which makes sense. There can be changes that take place within the home. Maybe you're traveling because you're moving. You could also be getting a new car. Maybe your car breaks down while you're traveling. Hopefully not. But these are some examples of what you can see here. All right. That's what I have for you, Virgo. Moving on to Libra. All right, Libra. So, Mars is transiting retrograde in Gemini, your 9th house. But Mars is going to exert most of its energy from the 8th house of Taurus. Because it is like Mars is moving backwards. So it's taking the energy of Gemini and putting it in Taurus. So Taurus is your 8th house. 8th house is your in-laws. It's joint finances and relationships and in business. It's taxes. It's sex. It's death. It's inheritance. Wills, estates, legacies. I think I already said this, but it's other people's money. 8th house is the occult. It's research. It's psychological baggage. It's surgeries. It's sudden ups and downs and transformation. So we see Mars is bringing the energy of the 9th house into that 8th house. Now Mars is conflict, so past conflict can come about. Now, 8th house is the house of in-laws, so definitely there can be conflict with your in-laws. There can be conflict with occultists or researchers, people that work in psychological fields or surgeons. I don't know, maybe you have family members that are in these fields. Now, 9th house is also the house of father. So, the energy of the 9th house of father going into the 8th house. So, for those of you that know, your father passed away, there could be a funeral that takes place. Because 8th house is death and inheritance. 9th house is ancestry in general, though. So, there could be some funeral tied to an ancestor. So we see there is potential for that. But Mars on its own won't show that. Now, 9th house is also education, going into the 8th house. 8th house is research. It's the occult. Maybe you're getting an occult education. Maybe you're doing research for, whatever your educational field is. Maybe you're suddenly traveling, because the 9th house of travel, that energy is now in the 8th house of sudden events. 9th house is your philosophical and religious views going into the 8th house. Maybe there's a transformation of those taking place for you. But we see that energy becomes very prominent. Now, Mars is cuts, burns, bruises, broken bones, accidents. That energy is now going into the 8th house. Well, 8th house, the region of the body, is your ass. It's your butt. It's your anus. So that's where you can have these accidents. Don't ask me how. I don't want to know. But, like an example, a person could deal with hemorrhoids, for instance. Outside of that, y'all think what could take place there. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. God damn it. Okay. Alright. So, the 4th aspect of Mars is the aspect of conquest. And that's falling on Leo, the 11th house. Now, not only will Mars be looking at the sign of Leo, Jupiter will be looking from the sign of Aries with its retrograde. And then Saturn will be aspecting from Aquarius. So we see this triple impact taking place on the sign of Leo. Now, Leo's your 11th house. 11th house is your elder siblings, your paternal aunts and uncles, your friends, your network circle. It's large organizations, large gatherings, parties. It's stock market. It's gains. It's your hopes, wishes, and desires. So there will be big changes that take place here because the 3 slower moving physical planets are all impacting this. So you will see real world changes with this in your life. Now, this could be, maybe there's something, very significant going on with your elder sibling or paternal aunt or uncle or your friends. Maybe you're gaining a lot financially. Especially, if there's an inheritance involved, of course, that would show gains that could take place. Okay. Now, we also see the 7th aspect of Mars is going to fall in Scorpio, the 2nd house. So, there will be a triple impact taking place here because Jupiter is going to go direct by then. Now, there will be major changes taking place in Scorpio right after those major changes in Leo. So, Scorpio is your 2nd house of family, your finances, your earnings, your savings, your bank account, your face, Second house is also your speech. It's what you value, your possessions. So there could be big changes here. But the seventh aspect of Mars also brings confrontation, because Mars is conflict. Seventh aspect of a planet is the relationship aspect. So you can definitely see conflict here. Now, I forgot to mention it before, but Mars in the 8th house can definitely show conflict with your in-laws. Now, with this aspect on the second house taking place, there can be conflict with your family as well. Okay. But we also see major changes taking place with the family. Major changes taking place financially. Because Mars is affecting that 11th house and that second house. Not just Mars, Jupiter and Saturn as well. Okay. Now, the third aspect of Mars is... The 8th aspect of Mars is the aspect of sun ups and downs and transformation. That's going to fall in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is your 3rd house. So we see there will be changes that take place here. They won't be as big as what's going on with Leo and Scorpio, because that triple impact's not happening. But we do see these changes taking place here. Okay, so Sagittarius, your 3rd house. 3rd house is younger siblings. It's your cousins, your neighbors. 3rd house is communication of all kinds, including writing. It's your skills. It's marketing and sales. It's sports. It's art. It's media, social media, the internet. 3rd house is the house of effort. It's 8th from the 8th, so it's the higher form of sun ups and downs and transformation. Transformation through self-effort is the 3rd house. 3rd house is also short distance travel, but it can even be foreign travel because 12th from the 4th. Furthest place from your homeland. Okay, so we see there will be a change that takes place here. There could be something that changes with your younger sibling, either your relationship with them or a change that takes place in their life. Maybe you're traveling because the 9th house and the 3rd house are being affected by Mars. And there could also be something tied to publishing, tied to writing, because these houses are both tied to that. Maybe you're learning. 9th house is education. Mars is there, taking that energy, putting it in the 8th house, but still education is being affected. 3rd house is your skills. So we see that you could be learning new skills during this time as well. Okay. That's what I have for you though, Libra. Moving on to Scorpio. Alright, Scorpio. So, Mars is retrograde in Gemini, your 8th house. Now, it's exerting that energy in the previous sign, Taurus. So, Mars is bringing that energy from Gemini into Taurus. Because it's retrograde, it appears to be moving backward from Earth. Now, Mars is conflict. So, with it being retrograde, we see past conflict can come alive. Well, 7th house is relationships, marriage, business partner. It's the masses, all of the people you meet out in the world. So here we see there can be a big conflict that takes place in this house. In relationships, in business, with your partner, with all the people you meet out in the world. So like if you have any degree of fame, or that can turn to notoriety. Be careful. Now, that energy of the 8th house being brought into the 7th house. 8th house is the in-laws. 7th house is your spouse. So, yeah, there can be conflict with the spouse tied to the in-laws. Or maybe your in-laws are in conflict with your spouse. These kinds of things can be seen. Now, Another thing you can see is there can be joint finances that go to the spouse. So that's another thing that can be seen with this. Okay. Now, Mars is also cuts, burns, bruises, accidents, broken bones. So, with Mars exerting that energy in the 7th house. Well, 7th house is the groin region. So, for you personally, this could be... I'm not even going to go into what it could be for y'all. But this could also show there could be some health issue or accident that, the spouse gets into. So, if you're on good terms with them, try to advise them to be careful. Okay. Now, let's talk about the aspects of Mars. So Mars has a 4th aspect of conquest, falling onto Leo, the 10th house. Now, not only that, but Jupiter, with its retrograde, is aspecting from Aries, and Saturn is aspecting from Aquarius. The 3 slower moving physical planets are all impacting Leo. Now, this shows there will be a big change tied to this house in your life. So, 10th house is your career. It's your workplace, your managers, your bosses. It's your status, your reputation, your fame. It's your karmic actions that the world notices. It's the highest house of karma. So even if you're retired or don't have a job, 10th house is still important. So we see that there will be big changes here. For most people, this would be career related or reputation related. And of course, your karma. But there could be big changes that take place within your job. This could show you get a promotion. Or you could get demoted. Depends on each person's individual chart. So, we see that could be taking place. Now, Mars is also going to aspect Scorpio with its 7th aspect. Remember, Mars is aspecting from the sign of Taurus, not Gemini. Okay. So, 7th aspect of a planet is the relationship aspect. But with Mars, it brings conflict. So, 1st house is you. It's your physical health, your body, your personality. So now, conflict is being brought to you. You see this very clearly. So, definitely conflict being brought your way. Now, it makes sense if, Mars is showing conflict with a bunch of people out in the world, then definitely that reflects that. Now, there will be major changes tied to the 1st house, though, because the triple impact, Jupiter is going to go direct by then. So now, triple impact will be on Scorpio right after it affects Leo. So, there will be big changes with you, with your physical body, possibly your health. There could be a big change in your personality, even. So, we see those things taking place as well. Now, the 8th aspect of Mars brings sun ups and downs and transformation, and that's going to be on your 2nd house. Now, this won't be as impactful as the triple impact happening on Leo and Scorpio, but you'll still see the effects. So, 2nd house is your family. It's your earnings, your savings, your bank account. It's your face. It's your speech. It's what you value, your possessions. So we see that there will be changes that take place here. Changes that take place within the family. Changes tied to your finances. So, those things can definitely be seen. Now, I'm going to give a quick warning here to those who are, Scorpio people. When it comes to relationships, in particular, Mars retrograding from the 8th house into the 7th house. Jupiter retrograding from the 7th house into the 6th house. Especially in relationship matters. This can be very difficult. 8th house of endings, affecting the 7th house of relationships. Jupiter, 7th house of relationships, affecting the 6th house of legal disputes, conflict. So, just a warning to the Scorpio people out there, relationships can be tumultuous during this time. Okay. That's what I have for you though, Scorpio. Moving on to Sagittarius. Alright, Sagittarius. So, Mars is retrograde in Gemini, your 7th house. But it's going to exert most of its energy in the 6th house in Taurus, bringing that energy of the 7th house into the 6th house. Okay. So, 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your coworkers. It's your pets. It's your enemies. It's your everyday work, everyday routines. It's health issues and accidents. It's competition. It's conflict. It's legal disputes. It's obstacles and debt. So, here we see the 6th house is being energized by Mars. And Mars is conflict. Now, past conflict is being brought about because Mars appears to be moving backwards. So, past conflict is being brought about either way, but it's going into the 6th house of conflict, and it's going to be conjunct Jupiter. Now, Jupiter may be retrograde, acting like it's an Aries, but Jupiter expands whatever it sits with. If Jupiter was to have no effect on the sign of Taurus, then Jupiter would be direct in Aries instead. But it shows Jupiter is affecting both. So now Jupiter is expanding that conflict of Mars. So this can be a very big conflict in the life of Sagittarius people. So be very careful with this. Now, on top of this, we see that there can be issues with a spouse. In relationships, that could, there could be conflict there. There could be a legal dispute, like a divorce, that takes place there. These kinds of things can be seen with this. If you're in business, be careful. It could lead to going into debt during this time, or you could have to take on debt on behalf of your business. Here, 6th house is legal disputes. 7th house, to some extent, is like courtrooms. I mean, it's the sign of Libra, after all, the scales in the original zodiac. So, we also see legal issues can be prominent. Okay. Now, let's talk about before the aspects of Mars. Mars is cuts, burns, bruises, broken bones, accidents. And it's going to be in the 6th house of health issues and accidents. So, be very careful. There can definitely be some health issue, some accident that pops up. 6th house is also, in particular, the lower belly, lower back. So, in particular, those are the regions that could be impacted during this time. But really, health issues in general could pop up. Okay. Now, the aspects of Mars. 4th aspect of conquest is going to fall in Leo, your 9th house. Now, not only that, but Jupiter is aspecting from the sign of Aries. Saturn is aspecting from the sign of Aquarius. So we see this triple impact of the slower moving physical planets, all impacting Leo. So there will be a big change that manifests in reality with this. So there are big changes tied to your 9th house. 9th house is your father figures. It's your mentors, teachers, gurus. It's religion, philosophy, the law. 9th house is long distance travel, pilgrimage. It's higher education beyond like a bachelor's degree, outside of typical schooling. It's publishing. It's your luck and your fortune. So we see that there will be big changes tied to this house. Once again, legal dispute can be very prominent here, with Mars affecting the 6th house of legal disputes and aspecting the 9th house of the law. Definitely, that can be prominent for Sagittarius people. Now, this could also show big changes with your father. Or your mentor, your guru. There can be big changes in your education that take place. Maybe you're, changing the degree that you're pursuing or something like that. Changing your educational field. There could be a big change when it comes to publishing. Maybe you decide you actually want to publish something. Or maybe you were going to publish something with a publishing house and that falls through. That's going to depend on each individual's chart. Now, there could also be significant travel that takes place, if I forgot to mention that. Now, let's talk about Mars' 7th aspect, which is going to fall on Scorpio. So 7th aspect is the relationship aspect of a planet, but with Mars, it brings conflict. That's going to fall in the 12th house. Now, not only that, but Jupiter will go direct then. So now, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn will all impact Scorpio, right after affecting Leo. So, 12th house is bed pleasure, sex, and sleep. It's spirituality. It's anywhere you feel isolated. Jails, hospitals, asylums, monasteries. 12th house is losses of all kinds, including financial. It's investing money, because when you invest money, you're temporarily losing money. It's donations. It's foreign people, foreign places, foreign travel. It's multinational companies. So, with this, we see, first off, 7th aspect of Mars, there can be confrontation with foreign people, with spiritual people, with people in isolated places, like doctors. Now, one thing in particular that I want to point out here, there can be major health issues that pop up because Mars is going to be affecting that 6th house of health issues and in the 12th house of hospitals. So be very careful. There can definitely be some health issue that pops up. Now, also legal issues. There could be major legal issues that could land you in jail or prison. So be aware of that as well, because Mars is going to be in the 6th house of legal disputes, aspecting the 9th house of the law, and then aspecting the 12th house of jails and prison. Now, there's the big warning I have for you all. This, for most people, may just show travel. 9th and 12th house are being, affected by that triple impact. Also, there can be a big change in your religious views, your philosophical views, your spiritual views. There could be a big change in your spirituality here with this triple impact on your 12th house. Here, you could, invest as well. Okay. Now, the 8th aspect of Mars is about sun ups and downs and transformation. And that's going to fall in your 1st house. So 1st house is you, your physical health, your body. Now, these changes aren't going to be as significant as Scorpio and Leo, because triple impact's not happening here. Mercury has a light effect. So we usually don't pay a lot of attention to it in transit. But here we see that there can be a change when it comes to you, your physical body, your health, your overall path in life, because that's what the 1st house is about. So once again, last warning, for those of you that know you're dealing with some health issue, make sure you get checked out by a doctor. Make sure you consult a healthcare professional, because there can definitely be something going on. especially if you know that you've been struggling health-wise. Okay, well, that's what I have for you, Sagittarius. Moving on to Capricorn. All right, Capricorn. So, Capricorn, for you, Mars is retrograde in Gemini, the 6th house. But it's going to be exerting that energy in Taurus, your 5th house. Now, Mars is conflict, and when it's retrograde, it appears to be moving backwards. So, Mars is bringing past conflict to the 5th house. So, 5th house is romance, fun and games. It's your children, your students, your subordinates. 5th house is education. It's creativity, arts, sports. It's politics. It's 8th from the 10th house. It's a sudden change and transformation of your career, of your workplace. So there can be 5th house can show promotions. 5th house is speculative gains, stock market, gambling, business. So with this, we see that there can be these past conflicts that are brought about here. They become very significant, especially because Mars is bringing the energy of the 6th house of conflict into that 5th house. So especially if you have children, there can be a big conflict with your children, in particular your first child, but children in general. There can be big conflict when it comes to your education, either with an educator or with a student, with someone else, a fellow student within your education. But this can be good when it comes to like competitive exams. Now, I don't know. Like I know in India that's a big thing. I don't know when that takes place. But competition in sports and education, even artistic competitions, can be very significant with this Mars retrograde here. You have to be careful when it comes to speculation, because that can lead to debt with this. Taking on debt on behalf of gambling, for instance. So you definitely need to be careful with that, Capricorn. Now, Mars is also cuts, burns, bruises, broken bones, accidents. Now that's being brought to the 5th house. And, like I said, Mars is bringing that energy of the 6th house, of enemies, of health issues and accidents into that 5th house. So, be careful. 5th house is also tied to the upper belly and the middle of your back. So like right, trying to think of the, right below your shoulder blades. There we go. Okay. So those are the regions where you can have like some health issue crop up. Some, cut or burn could take place, possibly a broken bone, if you're not careful. Okay. But there can definitely be enemies in your educational environment during this time. Here you need to be careful about the romances you engage in during this time. Maybe that person can't be trusted. Like these are the kinds of things you need to be wary of during this transit. But I'm not just here to scare you. I'm here to help you. Okay, so let's talk about the aspects of Mars during this time. So the 4th aspect of conquest is falling on the 8th house. 8th house is Leo. But not only is this happening, Jupiter is going to be aspecting from the sign of Aries. Remember, when they're retrograde, they act like they aspect from the previous house. So, Jupiter is aspecting from Aries, Mars is aspecting from Taurus, and Saturn will be aspecting from Aquarius, along with Venus. But the most important thing is the 3 slower moving physical planets, because you will see big changes in reality manifesting from this. So, your 8th house. 8th house is your in-laws. It's joint finances and relationships and in business. 8th house is death, wills, inheritance, estates, legacies. It's taxes. It's sex. It's the occult. It's research. It's your psychological baggage. It's surgeries. It's ups and downs and transformation. So there will be big changes that you see in your life during this time. Now, there can be big sudden changes because it's your 8th house. Now, these can be bad or these can be good. That's going to depend on your own individual birth chart. With the 8th house, it can be either. 8th house is a hidden house. So, hidden surprises, whether good or bad, can come up. But there could be big changes with your in-laws. There can be a big change in your joint assets. Maybe you receive an inheritance. Maybe your sex life changes for the better. Maybe there's a big transformation when it comes to your research, especially tied to your education, because 5th house of education is being, heavily involved here. Maybe there's a big change in your psychology during this time. Maybe you have to get a surgery due to that health issue that you're dealing with, especially because of that retrograde from the 6th house. Now, this doesn't have to be your surgery. For instance, if you have a child that's dealing with a health issue where they could need a surgery, then it could be showing your child surgery. Hopefully, that's not necessary, but, for those that are dealing with that, I'm just going to point it out. So, these are some things that we can see here. But really, just a big change and transformation can take place. And transformation's not always easy. It usually isn't. But definitely that will take place for you, Capricorn. Now, also, we have to look at the 7th aspect of Mars, which is the relationship aspect. But with Mars brings conflict. So that's falling on your 11th house. Now, not only that, but Jupiter will go direct. So Jupiter will also aspect Scorpio, and Saturn will also aspect from Aquarius. So, triple impact will move from Leo to Scorpio right after. So, Scorpio is your 11th house. 11th house is your elder siblings. It's your paternal aunts and uncles. It's your friends, your network circle, large organizations, large gatherings, parties. 11th house is stock market. It's gains. It's your hopes, wishes, and desires. So here we see there will be big changes when it comes to your elder siblings, their life, your paternal aunts and uncles, your friends. There could be a big change in your network circle with this. Maybe you get a whole new friend group. Maybe you cut ties with former friends. Maybe you get involved in a large organization. Here you can have sudden gains. Here your hopes, wishes, and desires could suddenly be fulfilled. But there will be big changes tied to that 11th house. Now, Mars is also going to have its 8th aspect on the sign of Sagittarius. So 8th aspect is about sun ups and downs and transformation. But Sagittarius isn't going to receive that triple impact like Scorpio and Leo did. So it's not going to be as significant. Now, 12th house is bed pleasure, sex, and sleep. It's spirituality. It's anywhere you feel isolated, jails, hospitals, asylums, monasteries. 12th house is losses of all kinds, including financial. It's investing, because when you invest money, you're temporarily losing money. It's donating. It's foreign people, foreign travel, foreign places. It's multinational companies. So we see that there will be a big transformation. A transformation that takes place here. Not necessarily a big transformation. But there will be a transformation that takes place here. Maybe it's a transformation of your sex life. Maybe it's a transformation of your spiritual views, your spirituality. Maybe you suddenly travel to a foreign place. If you're not careful, you could be dealing with an enemy or a legal dispute that lands you in jail or prison. Because 12th house is tied to jail and prison. You could also have a health issue that could land you in a hospital. Be very careful. Because Mars is still affecting that 6th house. And the 12th house. Okay. Alright. That's what I have for you, those Capricorn. Moving on to Aquarius. Aquarius. So, for you, Mars is retrograde in Gemini, your 5th house. Behaving like it's in the previous house of Taurus. So it's taking the energy from your 5th house and implementing it in the 4th house. Now, 4th house is your mother figures. It's home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's your comfort and your happiness. Now, Mars is conflict. So when a planet's retrograde, it appears to be moving backwards. So here, past conflict can be seen. So past conflict tied to, for example, your children, tied to your education, being brought into the 4th house of your mother and the people within your home. So this could be your children. This could be dealing with your mother. But there can be that conflict that is seen here. So that's something to be aware of. Here, the 4th house is being energized now. There can be a major change within the home. Maybe because you're having children. Maybe you're getting a new car. Maybe you're repairing a car or renovating a home. But Mars does bring conflict, so definitely there can be conflict in that 4th house. And it can somehow be tied to the 5th house. Okay. But Mars is also cuts, burns, bruises, broken bones, accidents. So now that is being brought into the 4th house. Now 4th house is the chest and your upper back, like from the shoulder blades up. So we see that there can be some accident that takes place in that region of the body. So be aware, be careful. Now let's talk about the aspects of Mars. So Mars has a 4th aspect of conquest that is going to fall in the 7th house of Leo. Now, not only that, but Jupiter, because of its retrograde, will aspect from Aries. And Saturn will aspect from Aquarius. These are the 3 slower moving physical planets. When they impact a single sign, there are big changes that happen there. So, Leo's your 7th house. 7th house is relationships, marriage, business partnership. It's the masses, all of the people you meet out in the world. It's 10th from the 10th. So it's the higher form of your status, your fame, your reputation, your career. Higher form of your karma. This is why marriage can be some of the heaviest karma a person can deal with. Because it's 10th from the 10th. But it's also 4th from the 4th. It's a higher form of your comfort and your happiness. So, 7th house is a very important house. There can be big changes that will take place here. So, if you're not in a relationship, you could get into a relationship. If you're in a relationship, maybe you're moving in with each other. Maybe you're getting engaged. Maybe you're getting married. Here, maybe you're starting that business that you've been wanting to start. Maybe you're ending things with a business partner or breaking up with a girlfriend or boyfriend. Here, there can be a big change in your reputation, big change in your career. But these things can definitely happen. There will be a big change tied to that 7th house. But be careful, you can be overly domineering with that 4th aspect of Mars. Now, 7th aspect of Mars is going to fall in Scorpio. Now, 7th aspect of a planet is the relationship aspect. But with Mars, it brings confrontation. So that's falling on Scorpio, your 10th house. Now, along with that, Jupiter is going to go direct, aspecting Scorpio. And then Saturn will also aspect Scorpio. So, the triple impact is going to move from Leo to Scorpio. Now we see there will be big changes in Scorpio, that 10th house. So 10th house is your career. It's your workplace, your managers, and your bosses. It's your status, your reputation, your fame. 10th house is house of government, especially national government. 10th house is the highest house of karma. It's your karmic actions that the world notices. So even if you're retired or out of work, 10th house still matters. Okay. So we see that there will be big changes that take place here with that triple impact. But in particular, there can be conflict with your managers, your bosses, the people within your workplace, and even with people in the government. So be careful with that. Be aware. But yeah, definitely there can be a big change in your career. There can be a big change in your reputation, especially with the 7th and 10th house being affected. Career and reputation are going to be the most significant. And your career is often tied to your karma. So, that's very important. Now, we also see Mars' 8th aspect is going to fall on Sagittarius, your 11th house. 8th aspect is about sudden ups and downs and transformation. Now, this won't be as big, as significant as Leo and Scorpio, because triple impact's not happening here. Mercury has a very light effect. Okay, so we see there will be some transformation, some change that takes place though. Some sudden events. Now, 11th house is elder siblings. It's your paternal aunts and uncles. It's your friends, your network circle, large organizations, large gatherings, parties. It's stock market, it's gains, it's your hopes, wishes, and desires. It's second from the 10th house, so it's the gain of your status, gain of your reputation. I mention this in particular because the 7th and 10th house are also being affected, which are also tied to your reputation and your fame and your status. So, for Aquarius people, this is mostly going to be about career. But we also see that there can be significant changes with your elder sibling, with your friends, with a large organization that you're a part of. There can be financial gain because of your career, maybe because of your business. But the main thing that's going to take place is what's going to happen with Leo and Scorpio. Okay. That's what I have for you, Aquarius. Moving on to Pisces. Alright, Pisces. So, Mars is retrograde in Gemini, your 4th house. Now, from Gemini, it appears to be moving backwards. So, for us Earthlings, it looks like it's affecting the sign of Taurus, because it's moving back towards Taurus. Now, Mars is conflict, so it's going to bring past conflict to Taurus. But in general, Taurus is going to be what's most affected here by that Mars retrograde. And of course, the other elements of a transit, like the aspects and stuff. But we're just talking about the placement of Mars first. So, Mars is going to exert its energy in Taurus, your 3rd house. Now, 3rd house is your younger siblings, your cousins, your neighbors. Third house is communication of all kinds, including writing. It's social media. It's media. It's the internet. It's marketing and sales. It's your skills. It's arts and sports. It's a house of effort. It's 8th from the 8th. It's the higher form of sudden ups and downs and transformation. Transformation through self-effort is the third house. Third house is also a house of short distance travel, but it can even be foreign travel because it's 12th from the 4th. Okay, so we see that these are the areas of life that are going to be impacted. Now Mars is bringing the energy of the 4th house to the 3rd house. So what can you see with this? You can see past conflict tied to your mother, tied to your younger siblings. There could be issues with a move because 4th house is home. 3rd house, like I said, is travel. And it can even be the loss of the home because it's 12th from the 4th. Now, that's going to depend on each person's individual chart. That's not going to be for every Pisces person. Okay, but we do see these things can be the case. You can have losses on account of a car with the 3rd house being affected here. So maybe you have a car that needs to be repaired. So these are things to keep in mind. But Mars also brings cuts, burns, bruises, broken bones, accidents in the 3rd house. And 3rd house is tied to like physical activities like sports. But 3rd house is the region of the body from the shoulder down to your hands, your fingertips. So you can get a cut, burn, bruise, broken bone, some kind of injury to that region of the body. So be careful. But you can deal with conflict with your younger siblings, your cousins, your neighbors. And yeah, definitely with a neighbor because it's affecting the 4th house of your home and 3rd house of neighbors. You can get into conflict with people online. Okay, but this is very good for putting forth a lot of effort. Mars is energizing the house of effort, giving you the energy to do what you need to do. So, Mars is a malefic, but malefics still have a place. There is still a positive influence that malefics can have. Okay, now let's talk about the aspects of Mars. Mars has a 4th aspect of conquest, falling on the 6th house of Leo. But along with that, Jupiter is going to retrograde into Aries, aspecting from there. And then Saturn is going to aspect from Aquarius. These are the 3 slower moving physical planets. When they aspect a sign together, you will see major changes taking place with that sign. So, 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your coworkers. It's pets. It's your enemies. It's your everyday work, everyday routines. It's competition. It's conflict. It's legal disputes. It's health issues and accidents. It's obstacles. So here we see there will be big changes tied to this. So there can be big changes tied to your work. There can be big changes with a maternal aunt or uncle. Now, Mars is energizing the 3rd house of cousins. And, bringing the energy of the 4th house of mother. So there could be an issue with mother's family during this time. Your maternal aunts and uncles and cousins. Here, you could be getting a new pet. Maybe you have a pet that's having some health issues. These kinds of things can be seen. Now, 6th house is health issues and accidents. So be careful. There could be some health issue that crops up. But this can be very good if you're trying to get in better physical shape. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to just become healthier. Because Mars is in the third house of effort, energizing it, and aspecting the sixth house of health issues. So this can be very good when it comes to overcoming health issues as well. Don't think that this will be all bad. It's going to depend on each individual's chart. Okay, now this is very good for defeating your enemies as well. Mars aspecting the sixth house, for the most part, is a good thing. Okay, now Mars is also going to aspect Scorpio with its seventh aspect. Now, seventh aspect is the aspect of confrontation. Well, the relationship aspect. But with Mars, it brings confrontation, brings conflict. Now, not only that, but Jupiter is going to go direct by this point. And Jupiter will also aspect Scorpio, and then Saturn will aspect Scorpio from Aquarius as well. So, we see right after this triple impact on Leo, Scorpio will receive that triple impact as well. So, Scorpio is your ninth house. Ninth house is your father figures. It's your mentors, teachers, gurus. It's religion, philosophy, the law. It's long distance travel, pilgrimage. It's publishing. Ninth house is your luck and your fortune. It's also higher education beyond like a bachelor's degree. It can be higher education beyond like typical schooling. So with this, you will see big changes here. There can be confrontation with your father, confrontation with your mentors, confrontation with religious people, with people tied to the law, like judges and lawyers. But there will be big changes tied to that ninth house, tied to the sign of Scorpio. Now, for some of you, this can definitely be a legal issue, because sixth house of legal disputes and ninth house of the law. So be careful for those that know you're dealing with that. Actually, especially for those that don't know you're dealing with it. Now, this can also show there could be issues with your father's health. Because Scorpio is your ninth house, and sixth house is health issues in general. But for your father, the sixth house is actually 10th house from the ninth. So this could actually be something big for your father's career that's taking place. There's a lot of different angles we can look at this from. Now, this could also be traveling because of health issues. This could be some competition that you're traveling for. Traveling, for work. There we go. Slipped my mind for a second. But yeah, we can see that could be taking place as well. Okay. But there will be big changes tied to Scorpio. Ninth house is also your philosophical views, your religious views. Those could change as well. Now, the eighth aspect of Mars is going to fall in Sagittarius, your 10th house. Now, eighth aspect brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. But this won't be as significant as what's going to happen to Leo and Scorpio. Those will be the major points of this transit. Now, 10th house is your career. It's your workplace, your managers, and your bosses. 10th house is your career. So, 10th house is also your status, your reputation, your fame, which is usually tied to your career. Now, 10th house is also government, especially national government. 10th house is your karmic actions that the world notices. So even if you're retired or out of work, 10th house still matters. It's the highest house of karma. Now, with this, we see there will be some change that takes place, or some sudden events. Maybe you have a manager that quits and a new manager is hired. Maybe you get a promotion or get demoted. Maybe you get transferred. There can be a change that takes place in your reputation. Maybe because of a legal issue. Hopefully not. Here, there can be a change in that status, though, for sure. Now, 10th house is also government, so there could be, some change in the government that takes place, or some sudden event with government. Like I said, especially for those dealing with a legal issue. Okay, that's what I have for you, though, Pisces. Okay, but yeah, that's what I have for all of you. Definitely a lot going on with this Mars transit. Hopefully, this wasn't, too much for y'all. I know I went into some negative things. But I definitely wanted to, hit all the bases with this. And things aren't always going to be all negative, depending, on each individual's chart. But there are positives and negatives that come with this. But really, those big changes to Leo and Scorpio are what you all need to look at. Okay. But if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Really helps out me in the channel. To be notified whenever I release a new video, be sure to hit the bell icon and select all. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, the links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. And if you'd like to donate to help support the channel, the links to those will be in the description box as well. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.